Hey YouTube, this is Southern Prepper 1, and today I'm going to talk about commo. I'm not going to get really into specific which radio you need to buy or the frequencies or anything like that. This is a general overview. Commo is so important. I need to get my act together, and I'm working on it. Normally this wouldn't all be out, but I'm getting everything working, getting them paired with proper antennas, testing them out with other people. That's why they're out, and you have to get serious about commos. Without communication, you're going to be lost. You're going to be isolated. If you're preparing for a worst case event, if you're preparing to shelter in place, if the economy collapses, if we have World War III, whatever it is, commo is going to be important. Now, protecting your commo from EMP should be important also, but I'm not going to go into that. So, during World War II, I'm watching this documentary. Many shows are involved in this thing, and it's an awesome on Germany invaded Russia. When Germany came in, they were they were cruel to the people, and that forced a lot of those people to join the partisans. So the partisan ranks just really grew quickly, hundreds of thousands of them, and they were located behind the German lines. The problem with all of these units were they did not have communication with themselves, with other units. They didn't have communication with the Red Army, so it was hard to coordinate anything, and it actually caused a lot of problems. You have lots of small groups of armed people traveling around the countryside at night. You can have conflict with yourselves. So the Russian army decided, hey, we need to get some comms to these guys and gals. And they provided up to 200 radios at that point to get these partisan units organized better and be able to communicate. So communication is the key. As prior military, if you don't have communications, you're dead in the water. You stop what you're doing and you immediately try to get your comms back up so you can communicate and you can figure things out. So this is a general viewpoint of comms. We're going to go into it. Handheld radios. That's one type of radio you can purchase. It is a handheld radio. With these radios, they're very, very easy to carry around. They're very mobile. You can use them anywhere, and they're small. Put them in your pocket. But they do have some downsides. You know, the power. There's not a lot of power in this, so you're limited on your range. Next, you move up what we call a mobile, which you can put in your vehicle, and it could be any of these right here. They can go in your vehicle and be powered from, if you want to, off your power supply from your 12-volt battery in your vehicle. So that's what we call mobile. Then you can have base stations, which are bigger. I really don't have a true base station. These are what I'm using for base stations. They're just mobiles that I'm hooking up to a power supply here. So you have handheld, you have mobile you put in your vehicle, and then you have a base station. So that's a general idea of what you have. Now, there's a lot of different frequencies that you can get. And I recommend getting every single one if you can afford it, because you want to monitor, you want to, write down exactly what you're hearing on the radio. If you're going to use your radio, always use it on the lowest power setting. If you can get by with 1 watt, use 1 watt. Don't blast out here with 50 watts, because when you're blasting out with 50 watts, more people in your general area are going to hear that. And if you only need to go across the street to your neighbors, 1 watt of power is going to get that job done. Every time you push that button, you are giving away your location. Very easy to find with directional antennas. They can pinpoint you and locate you. If you're thinking about doing commo now and you live in an area where you're trying to keep as a gray man, or you don't want anybody to know, you got to be careful what antennas you put up on your house. Because you drive around and you see a bunch of antennas on a house. That could be good or bad. It could be good if you're also a ham guy. You can maybe talk to those persons. Hey, I'm also into ham, and you develop a relationship. If you're trying to stay secret, those antennas on your roof will give you away. So you got to plan on what antennas you're going to put up. And the antenna is the big thing. The higher you get, generally you get that antenna up, the better it's going to be for your communication. So you have a bunch of radios. You need to set up a radio area. It don't have to be a whole room. It could just be a desk, a table, where you can put your radios. You can sit comfortably. You will have some lights and power, so you can record what you're hearing. Probably 95% of your radio is going to be listen only. You don't want to push that button. You're going to record everything in a notebook. Don't just write it on scrap paper. Write it in a notebook so you can go back, flip through the pages, and you can see and hear and see what people were saying. Don't discount anything. Write it down in the book, because you take 5 or 6 tiny little pieces of information, you put them together, and it's like, oh, that's what's going on. So if your job is to sit here and write down what you hear, write down, even if you think it's not important. Everything is important. If someone is going to push the button and talk to someone in a grid down event, it's probably worth writing down in a book. So you have your radio. You're also going to need power. So power supply. If you're going to have a power box, you probably need a separate power box just to run your comm center, because you don't want to have it running the refrigerator when you need to be listening. So you need to look at that. You have your radio. You're going to need some type of wire to connect your radios to your antenna. If you're trying to connect a small radio to an outside antenna, which is possible, you're going to need different adapters. So it can go from a small radio into your big cable that's going outside up your antenna. So you've got different things you're going to need. Then you have to pick your antenna. Each antenna is really made specifically for a frequency range. So you got to pick it out the right way. You can have small magnet mount antennas that can go on your vehicle, especially if you're trying to hide that you're talking. You can get bigger antennas for your vehicle, or you can have antennas outside that you can put up. You can also make antennas, jungle antennas, that you can put up that will definitely get great reception. So we got a bunch of radios. We have a good work area. It's comfortable. We got power. We got lights. We're ready to go. What radio are we going to need? As I said, you need every single radio out there if you want to monitor. Now, if money is an object, which mostly it is, you'll just have to prioritize what you're going to use. Now, if you have a group of people, ask them. If you got 3 or 4 buddies, say, hey, you got a CB radio. If 2 or 3 out of the 4 or 5 have CB radios, maybe immediately, hey, let's all get CB radios so we can start our communication plan. CB radios are citizen band radio. You know, a lot of you say, Dave, that was big during the 80s, man. We're not in the 80s anymore. I love CB radios. I can turn this thing on and I can get things from far, far away. So far away, I really can't talk to them with my limited system, but I can listen, I can monitor, I can write down what's going on. So CB radio should be in every prepper's inventory. Next is MERS radio. That's multi-use radio service. And there's 5 frequencies. This is a MERS radio. All it gets is MERS. This is also associated with the Dakota alerts. And there are alerts that can go outside your house. And if someone walks past them, they go off. It will go off on your radio. They also make a little base station so you can plug it in for everyday use right into the wall. So MERS radios are great. The neat thing is there's other radios out there that can accept the frequency input of MERS. So this can get a lot of things. After MERS, multi-use radios, you have family radios, and those are the typical little radios you can buy at Walmart. They have 2 in a pack, and they're family radio services. This is, I have a bunch of these, and these will be used to give out to people if they need them, neighbors. The only thing that will be on there is family radio. Power on. It's very self-explanatory. We're on channel 3. You can turn it channel 4. So there's really no programming. It's very easy to give to anyone and say, hey, stay on channel 7, and I can communicate with you and you can communicate with me. So that's a family radio. The neat thing is you can take other radios and program the FRS frequencies into this radio. Next is marine radios. Marine radios are used around the water. The legality of using a marine radio, away from the water, yes, you can't do that. You have to obey all federal laws. But in a grid down situation, definitely do what you need to do to survive. So this is marine frequencies, and they use this on the water. A lot of people don't have, marine frequencies. So it's something that you might be able to communicate inland in an emergency. Follow all federal laws. So you have marine frequencies. Next, we have GMRS, General Mobile Radio Service. This one requires a license. The license has no test. It is just you have to pay the federal government a little bit of money, and they will give you a license for 10 years. And then anyone in your family can use your call sign. So you don't have to get one for each family member or one for mom and dad. Everyone can use that call sign. GMRS radios come in all different powers. This one right here is a 50 watt. The one right here is a 20 watt. And I'll be doing some reviews on these to show you the pros and cons of them. So you immediately went from, when you get the GMRS, up to 20 or 50 watts, which is a lot better than some of the other ones that are only 5 watts or 8 watts. And even some of the family radios are even less than that. So you have to follow, this radio might be a 5 or 8 watt radio, but you might not be able to use the family radios on such a high wattage. So there's ways where you can turn them down if you want to stay legal. So that is the GMRS's. Next is ham, and that's an amateur radio service. And this right here is a ham radio, 2 meters. Now with that, you definitely need a license. You have to pass a test and get a license. But there's nothing illegal about you buying a ham radio antenna, hooking it up, and listening. You just can't transmit. Now, in a dire situation where life or limb is at stake, you're authorized to use a ham radio if you're not licensed to use it, just for that emergency. If you need to request an ambulance or a fire truck, you're authorized to use it. But if you're going to go through the expense of getting a ham radio, take the test. It's not hard. I don't want you to get the book and study the concepts of that book totally. I want you to get online, and there's questions. I give you every question that could possibly on the test, and you memorize the right answer. So, there you go. That's a basic. I hope this helps. I'll do more detailed later. Thanks for watching.